morning, everyone. Welcome to our June 5th meeting of the Butler County Board of Commissioners. We'll call this meeting to order and ask you to please rise for a moment of silent prayer, followed by pledge of allegiance and raise the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
We'd like to remind all speakers to please state their name and their municipality of residence, and there will be a 3-minute limit. And the first on the list is It's Messy.
No interruptions, please. From Slippery Rock Borough, my name is Itzy Mesley, and the title of my speech today is, Why Not Have a Public Referendum on Your Proposed Office Annex? Commissioners, slow down your effort to float bonds and construct a new costly office annex to this government center. The Riddleman report recommended an $11 million wraparound bond, which basically means an albatross of long-term debt that will be wrapped around the taxpayer's neck for 41,000 square feet of expanded office space in a 4-story building. I am sure that the final bond total will be much higher. I estimate between 15 and 20 million as you pile on cost of other pet projects, including $500,000 for construction of a new Cranberry Magistrate office, plus a whole $1 million for the government center's aging HVAC system. Why not have a binding referendum during this November's election? Let the taxpayers decide whether or not to approve any construction, especially using wraparound bonds, which allows the county to make interest-only payments during the next 10 years, and then face huge balloon payments as taxes skyrocket. This year, the county will be obligated to begin paying $2.3 million in annual balloon payments on the 2003 county prisons bonds, up dramatically from the $410,000 of prior interest-only annual payments. Having a taxpayer referendum for your proposed annex will allow you to go out to the community and sell your construction project to the taxpayers, as you need to be upfront and straight with county residents about incurring staggering long-term debt, especially as all 3 of you walk away at the end of your commissioner's term in 2015 and leave us with a whopping $70 to $72 million in debt, and that doesn't even include interest. This projected amount includes current principal debt of almost $52 million plus the $15 to $20 million in new bonds. Yes, you'll get your names embossed on a plaque on the annex's entrance, while the public gets the debt, and we pass that huge financial obligation onto the next generation. So stop ramrodding this extravagant construction project. Why not consider leasing space on South Main Street in empty storefronts while we take 3 to 5 years to deliberate any new construction project? Meanwhile, we can take the time to lower our current bond principal debt. Once again, I repeat, of almost $52 million, as well as set aside funds for a future down payment on any new construction. Your current credit card mentality will result in sharply higher taxes for decades to come. And after the election, the 3 brand new commissioners will have to deal with your debt mismanagement. I'm Itzy Mesley, humbly I thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay. I'd like to say something there. I think I am for a referendum. I don't think the other 2 will go for it, but I want to say I am for that. And I got a kick out of Itzy saying about I'm not walking away from this job without a fight. I'm not for more debt, and I like to get into good scrap. I'm not going to roll over and play dead as far as running the next time. Okay. I care about debt. I care about high taxes. I mean, you can come in here and put me to the same category as the other 2 commissioners, but everybody knows that's not true. Everybody knows I've been opposition to the new building from day one, okay? You'd have to be from another planet not to know that. And another thing I talked about too is I don't want my name on that plaque you talked about. I said I wanted, at the meeting one day, I said I wanted watchdog there. Bill McCarrier, Dale Pinkerton, watchdog. Okay, I don't want my name on the plaque, so I made that clear before too. Thanks, I'm done.
Okay, next.
Next, Rocco Laniolato.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Couple questions for you. My name's Rocco Lancelotti. I reside in Oakland Township, and nobody wants to come in here to ask you, we need water out of our school, Oakland Township School, because the water runs out. Is there any possible way the county can help? Because my township supervisors and stuff, nobody wants to do nothing. So, that's one thing. And the other thing is, the people I talk to, you all say that you're spending, you're saving us money. Well, can't say it. Nobody can say it. And the other thing is, another one is, when you go to these conferences and stuff, there should be an itemized bill put out for the public to see is exactly what it costs us. And another thing is, you've got to have some public meetings out at these townships, so the little people can actually talk to you and find out what's going on. And that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you for your comments. I would like to address a couple of your comments. First of all, they tried having meetings out at the individual township buildings in years past, and it just proved to be too costly because all of our department heads and people who have agenda items have to go to those meetings, and we had to transport all the materials and so forth, so it did not work out. Secondly, I'm not sure about your water problem. If you come up and talk to us individually or together, I try and address that, but I don't know what you're talking about really in that water problem. So we'd be happy to talk to you anytime though, if you want to come up. Jim, you got something?
Yeah, well, I concur with Bill on the water problem. I didn't have any idea about it either. I think a school not having water is that's a very important thing to address. You're the first person. Thanks for coming, Rocco. And then the other thing about, I went on a conference to papers last week. I will take your advice on that, and I'll voluntarily on the county website, if you go under Jim Eckstein, we'll make sure that my expenses for that go up, okay? I'm very proud of doing that, and that is a good idea. I'll voluntarily do that. If I go on a trip, you'll see it, okay? Thanks. That is a great idea. I'm proud of going to like the papers conference for the pension fund, and I'll gladly do that for you. Okay, Rocco, thank you.
Frank Monteleone Jr.
Yes, my name is Frank Monteleone Jr. from Slippery Rock. I don't know the three commissioners that well, but I know that Dal kept me in Goodyear tires. I wanted to thank him again for that. And when I worked at Adobe Mining for 10 years, along with other numerous development I bought interstate pipes from Bill McCarrier's family. Jim, I don't know you well enough to, but hello?
Yeah.
The reason I'm here is I'm on a Stop Government Bullying campaign. I'm not saying any bullying happened here. I'm more here about silencing citizens. I'd like to see the commissioners consider opening up the second citizen input just so that people can participate. You've probably seen my ad in the paper and the signs on my box truck at 140 Grove City Road. The sign on there says that some Slippery Rock Borough officials were public school students, they'd be in detention. You would just be appalled and wouldn't believe what goes on in the Slippery Rock Borough meeting room. I mean, it is unbelievable. The people who put in the sheets that they had 6 consultants up there, they said we have 400 and some stores, and we've never seen anything like this in the 6 states that we're in. I haven't followed these meetings close enough, again, to determine if there's any bullies in here. I've heard other people say that they think there's some bullying going on here, but I'm not going to go too far with that. So I decide. but more here just to see if we can bring this second citizens input back so that people can participate and talk things over, so they don't have to come back to the next meeting. Just to kind of sit down and a round table discussion, more or less, back and forth. Just to kind of say, okay, you know, let's talk about this. Sometimes you get a lot of good heads in there and everybody's talking, and you can figure out some things when you get a lot of good heads in the room. And just yesterday, I blew this Slippery Rock Borough, a fella had fell and went through a plate glass window. I had blew the lid off of that by daybreak yesterday, telling many people how there was 20 people that said, hey, there's all these trip hazards up here. And I presented stuff to them many times. There's about 6 trip hazards within a few feet of where this guy fell. And there's many people that know that. And they just, you know, people just turn their heads to some of these things. I mean, it's unbelievable that this guy died when so many people knew. There was a thing sticking up in the air this high that they figured this guy tripped on, or one of the many things, because they can tell where he parked. And people just kind of blow people off. They don't, you know, when somebody says something, you know, they just ignore it. And so I'd like to see people, you know, participate in meetings and more people at all levels of government just take things more seriously and make sure every item that comes up, that they look at it very thoroughly and don't ignore things. Thank you.
Sir, what's your name again? Frank Montleone. Okay.
I'm not the famous one.
Okay.
That's the guy in New York.
Peggy Abersole?
Morning, Commissioners. Peggy Abersole, Middlesex Township. I have 3 brief announcements. Appearing in the May 16, 2013 edition of the Butler Eagle were the names of individuals and entities appearing to be owners of abandoned and unreclaimed property in the amount of over $6.7 million. It's not too late to search the patreasury.gov website or call their toll-free number at 1-800-222-2046. Not only would any unclaimed property boost your individual economy, it would also boost Butler County's economy. Secondly, this Saturday, June 8th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., there will be an herb and garden fair at the Historic Harmony Museum Barn Annex located on Mercer Road. Thirdly, the last Commissioners meeting on May 23rd, public meeting, I spoke to you about Butler County Commissioners' partnership with both Highmark and Variety, the children's charity, for the My Bike kickoff. Commissioners McCary and Pickner attended the kickoff, as well as myself, since Commissioner Eckstein was unable to attend because of being out of town papers. We were able to experience firsthand the joy and excitement in the face of a disabled child riding a bike for the first time. The goal of the partnership is to provide adaptive bikes to children with disabilities throughout Butler County. Year-round, names of children with disabilities who need an adaptive bike, as well as donations, are accepted. The charity Variety Pittsburgh, the children's charity, and their program coordinator is Sandra Thompson. She can be reached at 412-747-2680, who can be contacted for further information. Each adaptive bike costs $1,800, but when you see somebody actually doing something normal for the first time, it truly is an amazing event. Thank you.
Christina Handley?
I have some materials that I'd like to hand out before the time.
Yeah, thanks. I couldn't remember where the county council said.
Good morning. My name is Christina Hanley, and I reside in East Ripley Township, and I'm here to talk about the Connoquenessing Creek cleanup. My organization, Allegheny Aquatic Alliance, which is a local nonprofit that's devoted to water conservation and protection, has been putting this cleanup together now for, it's going to be our 2nd year. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to not only promote our cleanup this year, but also to let everyone know the accomplishments that we achieved last year. So our last year, we organized the Connoquenessing Creek Cleanup Celebration in September, and we were very, very successful with the results. We had 150 volunteers show up that morning in the rain to put their hearts and souls into really removing all the garbage that is in this really precious waterway. So our final results was that we removed 54,873 pounds of garbage. And this is including 578 tires, a whole riding lawnmower, a 2,000-gallon diesel drum, a coffin vault, entire commercial stove, and many, many appliances. And these are just a few of the, kind of shocking things that were removed from this waterway. So we're very happy with, with our results, but they're also inspiring but alarming. So we decided that we want to dedicate our organization to the restoration of this waterway in our community. So in order to do that, this year we are going to tackle 20 miles of the Connie because we have to maintain every stretch that we cleaned the year before. So we are going to do 10 miles through the same stretch through Zillion, Opal, and Harmony, and then we're going to do an additional 10 miles from where we stopped last year up until AK Steel Plant, so right around the Butler city line. So with it being 20 miles, doubling what we did last year, we're going to need a lot more support from the community. In order to make this a success, we're going to be talking shortly about the things that we need to continue this great cleanup. This year, we're going to have volunteers who want to come out and help during that day. It's going to be on August 10th, on Saturday. And we're going to meet at the Beacon Hotel in Lakeview at 8 a.m. in the morning. And as in last year, what we're hoping to do is to get A.J. Myers and Sons to transport the volunteers to their different access points along the 20-mile stretches, or 20-mile stretch.
That's time.
So we really need the success of the support of all the community to make this a success.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We certainly appreciate what your group does. To me, it's a very sad thing when people throw things like that in a beautiful creek, or any creek, not just Conquest, but any creek, or off along the road. I have about a mile of road frontage myself, and the stuff that we pick up along our property is just disgusting that people throw it out. And what you do is just overwhelming.
And Christina, you took my talk today.
Oh,
So that's what I was gonna talk about.
Well, I'm so glad that we're on the same page, Del.
And I'd just like to say, I grew up near Camp Red Wing. I'm sure you know where that's at.
We're going right through that stretch.
Correct. So that's where I grew up, and, we used to go ride our bikes and swing and bridge and stuff. But that's where I grew up. I really appreciate what you're doing. I live right beside it.
Thank you. We're hoping to get the Girl Scouts involved since it's, there's about a mile that their property runs along this stretch, so.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mike Handley?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Michael Hanley, and I'm from New Sewickley Township. I am also with Allegheny Aquatic Alliance. I'm the Vice President. So to reiterate on what Christine was talking about, what we're actually looking for this year, first off is volunteers. We need more and more volunteers. Mr. Pinkerton was part of our crew last year. He got in there and got himself dirty and helped clean the creek. But some of the big things that we need this year, apart from volunteers, we need lots of flat bottom boats to help. They're basically like floating garbage cans. We need lots of those. We need multiple canoes, kayaks, anything that we need. As far as floating down the creek, we've got so many people that are going to be in the actual boats collecting garbage from point A all the way down to point B. Along with that, we need, one of the things that was really successful last year was these portable winches. We were able to strap these onto trees in lots of spots that we couldn't get trucks into, and we were able to take out big diesel tanks that way. We also had big machinery. We had backhoes, tractors for some of the very, very large items, which was alarming that we did need such large things. But along with those things, we also need rope chains to help pull those things out. pry bars and shovels. A lot of these tires that are in the water, they've been in there for so long, they actually create a nice suction at the bottom of the creek there, so you sometimes need something to just pop that and break that seal to get some of those tires out. We need work gloves, we need garbage bags. As far as the large equipment, hopefully this year we won't have as many large items in the section that we're doing, but we still will need some other tractors. We needed all things from portable toilets for all the volunteers. Food for the volunteers was another big thing. We need lunch, and we also do a dinner. There's a little celebration afterwards. So any food that we can get is very, very important. We had lots of things that monetary donations we needed for printing services. We did give everyone t-shirts and everything like that for coming out that day. Those aren't the most important things. The most important things is really just getting volunteers out there. You can contact us through our website, which is Allegheny Aquatic Alliance @hotmail.com, or our phone number that you can reach us is 724-371-0416, and you can contact either Christina or myself, Michael. And we really appreciate the support of the community. With that, we can ensure that this cleanup this year will be another success, which we believe is a no-brainer. People to get out and support the community is what we really need. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Maybe the other commissioners can help me with this, but maybe Jack Owen would be allowed to help them with the printing, or, do you guys know?
I have no idea.
Yeah, call tourism.
He did actually give us a monetary, donation of sponsorship for it already.
Okay, because he does that with, he's only allowed to do certain things with tourism, but I mean, you're doing something to clean up and promote tourism, so I just thought that he could maybe help you with that aspect, so make sure you talk to Jack. Tell him Bill sent you.
Thank you.
Mark Krenitsky?
Good morning, Commissioner. Early again. Hey, I was kind of wondering, we talked about Commissioner Exxon talked about putting the Armstrong video up on the website for people to watch. Not everybody gets Armstrong. In fact, I know quite a few don't. I did have a couple of fundraising announcements. The city of Butler is trying to sell a 1926 fire truck. I think they could get between $8,000 and $10,000 for it. They're selling it to get firefighting equipment. Butler Township's doing the same thing with a couple of their automatic rifles that they got in 1961. They think they're valued about $20,000 a piece, maybe a little bit better. They want to buy some police equipment with it, video cameras for cars. Also, I was kind of curious about Butler Township's doing this. I go to Butler Township meetings too. They're doing a personnel study just to make sure they have the right mix of people, that they don't have too many or too few in certain areas. I didn't know if the county was considering doing anything like that with certain departments or just county-wide. So that was it. Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Matthew Deck?
My name is Matthew Deck from Butler. I'm sure you most likely remember that approximately 6 weeks ago, I emailed Vince Teach a dossier of concerns which I had with the court system in here, fundamentally destroying the 14th and the 5th Amendment of the people, refusing to follow procedural due process of law as well as substantive, with evidential proof of even violations of confidentiality law, which is a felony 3, as well as HIPAA being practiced.
Mr. Deck, the Board of Commissioners does not have jurisdiction over the operation of the Court of Common Pleas. Accordingly, this topic is not a matter of common concern, official action, or deliberation by this board. I'm going to ask you to focus your comments on items that would fall under one of those categories.
Well, this would most certainly fall under one of those categories. Because I'm so concerned about this right here, as these people are starting up various non-profit groups in the desire to help this county, so am I. And under the asrpcp.org, you actually have your own webpage devoted to you as the worshipful master of this county. I would like the people of Butler County to know exactly what's going on inside this county, as well as what it means to be a 33rd degree Mason in relevance under what's occurring within our nation. And this is all part of it. It's a grassroots movement, I firmly believe, of absolute corruption which is sucking this nation dry.
Mr. Deck, Freemasonry is not a subject, it is before the board.
Okay, it's not a subject, but I'll drop that right there and leave it at this. You've been in office here for how long, and so far you've run up, what, a $70 million debt? And now you want to run up like another 25 million, which as my mother wrote in a letter to the editor, you want to raise taxes to pay for this because you believe you've earned a pension serving the people by running them up an approximate $100 million debt with a huge ballooning inflation before you set sail on vacation with an all-expense paid pension. And you believe that you've earned that, and nobody should speak up against you, or even, for that matter there, attempt to dig into exactly what's going on, because it's a well-known fact out on the street, as I mentioned before. Butler County is believed to be a very corrupt town. And if you want to turn around and clean up this corruption, go to the asrpcp.org and join this movement, not only to clean up this county, but this state and nation. Thank you.
I'd just like to say this, thanks for coming, Matt. I just make a correction here. As the commissioner, I do not take a pension and I do not take county health care. I'd just like to make that clear, so I'm not, I do think it's an important issue for public servants, okay? I'd just like to make, the other two do, but I don't. Thanks.
And I did not run up the debt, nor did any of these other commissioners run up the debt. The debt was here when we came into office. Okay, anyone else?
That's all for public comments, sir.
All right, we have minutes from our May 20th meeting and our May 23rd meeting. We have a motion to approve those minutes as printed.
I'll make the motion, we approve them.
We have a second.
Can we divide those up there, because I'm
Yes.
here for the one?
Okay. All right, we'll divide those up. We'll start with the May 20th meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve those minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now we'll move on to the May 23rd minutes. Do we have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Is there a second? I will second that. Discussion? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, do I have to put in an abstention form?
No.
No,
No,
oh,
not
okay,
this.
I just wasn't
You
there, okay.
can't, when you weren't here, I believe, you can't make a motion, but you can vote on a motion that's been made. We have a motion and a second to approve the May 23rd minutes. Are those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Am I allowed to vote?
Yes.
Yes, but
Oh, I
you
wasn't
wanted
aware of
to
that,
abstain.
because I've never been at the meeting before.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with the minutes, I read them
Okay.
and listened to the tape.
All right, moving on to old business. Amy?
Sir, I have one brief announcement from our Parks and Recreation Department. They would like the public to know that on Friday, June 15th, which is Flag Day, and most county offices would be closed, that the Butler County Parks and Recreation Office will be open for regular business. Under old business, we have two items that have been tabled from the last two public meetings. The first is a discussion of a proposal from Commissioner Eckstein to have an infrastructure protection advisor from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security provide an assessment of the current government center and courthouse and proposed government center annex.
Okay, thanks, Amy. I talked to Mike Sloop about that, he's on the security committee. I personally, I felt good about it after talking to Mike. You know, that he said he was gonna work on that issue, and he, you know, so I really, after he explained it to me, I feel, you know, basically what the committee was doing. I didn't meet with the committee, Margaret, you didn't meet with the committee. We didn't meet with them yet, they were gonna do that. So, but I felt good about Mike's briefing. Maybe, you know, you guys can say what you want, but then we'll meet with them again.
Okay, what's your wishes then in this motion? Would you like to table it until we talk to the committee or until we hear their report?
Yeah, till we hear the report.
Well, maybe it would be more appropriately withdrawn, so it's not continually carried on the agenda.
Yeah, let's do that, and then after we get briefed.
All right, you'll withdraw that motion?
Yeah, I'll be gladly, I'll withdraw that, and we'll work on
I
it.
believe I made the second, I'll withdraw my second, okay.
Okay.
That's all the table.
Thank you. And the second item also tabled from the last two meetings is discussion of a proposal from Commissioner Eckstein to explore an option for an architectural draft regarding a secure parking structure in front of the proposed government center annex in lieu of an underground parking lot.
Maybe Mike English can help me on that, because he was gonna, there was a meeting scheduled with Stantec. I don't believe the commissioners attended, but you did, didn't you?
No, I didn't attend, but
Oh.
and I think John Campbell may have attended part of it. It was between Stantec, the architect, and John Thomas, the construction manager, to bring the construction manager's office up to speed on the history and the current status of the design of the possible new building. And John Thomas came away from that meeting with a lot of knowledge about where we're at, and his really first task of many is to try and move the design forward, which includes inevitably addressing how we're going to handle parking, ADA parking at the facility. So I think that, in my opinion, that the subject of this motion, he's working on that. Whether or not he's going to formally do architectural drawings with Stantec on any of the particular options, I don't know how they would feel the best way to address their work there is, but the architect and the construction manager are looking at all aspects of how to address this.
Okay, were any of the other two commissioners at the meeting?
No, I was not.
No, neither.
I believe it was just the technical folks, just the construction manager and the architect, and again, I think John attended, maybe not all of it. I think he had to leave and wasn't even able to stay for the whole thing, but I could be wrong about that.
So maybe we can take this off the agenda also, and retract that, and we'll put it back up. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think this is really the essence of what they're doing for us, and they'll be coming back to us hopefully in the next few weeks with the options that they've developed, and we'll have an opportunity to ask any questions if we have of that.
Okay.
At that time.
Maybe if I could on this, there's been in the press that there's been a big mistake made. People said that we approved a construction manager for $330,000 or something like that. I noticed a couple things in the press. That is not true. That is not true. We did not do that. We only approved the amount needed to make technical decisions on from the architectural firm and on costs. You know, there's only a small portion of that, I think less than 10%.
Well, what I think if I understand what you're saying is that
Yeah, if you could please
the
reiterate that.
gross number there is not, the county is not committed to spending $352,000 or whatever that, I can't remember exactly what the figure was. That would be what the figure would be if the project went all the way through to fruition. We will have the opportunity, as we do with the Stantec advisors, to stop at any point that the board felt it would be appropriate. So
Yeah, people
that
got
number
the
is
idea we're spending, we just writing them a check for that money.
right. That is not. They would be paid as they went for the services that they rendered, and if somewhere in that process the board decided to not pursue, we would not be further obligated to pay them.
Well stated, Mike. Thank you.
If the contractors threw that as a total amount, we would pay.
Right.
But it's no ways near that point.
Right. Thanks for clarifying that, Mike. I appreciate it.
Proclamations.
Yes, Commissioners, we have two this morning. The first is to recognize the Montauk Pentathlon team for their national championship. Whereas Montauk Academic Pentathlon team competed along with state champions from 8 competing states, as well as a team from the United Kingdom in an academic national and global competition. And whereas Montauk's team earned 15 individual medals. Levi Flieger was the second highest scorer in the country and earned medals in 4 of the 5 subjects: mathematics, science, social studies, and art. Other individual medalists from Montauk included Weston Kimmey, Lake Pry, Jacob Morgan Michael Prysock, William Thompson, and Ron Sanderson. Haley Christie also contributed to the team's winning effort. And whereas the Academic Pentathlon is a 5-event competition for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students, which is modeled after the academic decathlon in high school, which promotes scholastic achievement for students of all ability levels. Members study content in the areas of math, literature, social science, and art, and compete against students in corresponding divisions on 4 multiple choice exams and 1 essay. And whereas in March, Montauk's team traveled to Erie to compete for the Academic Sports League Pentathlon Championship. The team placed first and earned achievement to the national competition, which was held online in April. Now, therefore, the Butler County Board of Commissioners commend the Montauk Academic Pentathlon team and their coaches, Ms. Melissa Baker and Ms. Angela Schandelmeyer, for winning the national championship for the 2nd year in a row, and wish them each continued success in their future endeavors. Signed, the Board of Commissioners, William L. McCarrier, Chairman, A. Dale Pinkerton, Vice Chairman, and James Eckstein, Secretary. And accepting the proclamation today is the Montauk Academic Pentathlon team and their coach, Melissa Baker.
Fantastic. Oh.
job.
What's your name? What's
Nice to meet you.
your name? Yours? Congratulations. Very good. Yours?
Great job. I'm glad we're not, it's nice to have the athlete smile, let's get their rewards. That's great.
Athletes do.
We need more women here. How about that?
And who's going to take the proclamation?
Hi, thanks.
You want to turn around for the camera there?
Yeah.
Who would
Oh,
like to
yeah.
speak?
There's a bunch of cameras over here, they want pictures.
Right there, the camera. Come on. Good job.
Yeah, you can, absolutely, we'd love to have you say a few words. We're really proud of the kids.
My name is Brenda Knoll, and I'm the assistant principal for the Montauk Junior Senior High School. And good morning, commissioners, and thank you for this opportunity to bring in our pentathlon team, coaches and advisors, and to just congratulate them once again on bringing home that second national championship to our community, and specifically to the Montauk School District. So congratulations to all of you. Another round of applause. I did want to take a moment and allow Ms. Angela Shandelmeyer to speak. She is our Montauk valedictorian for the class of 2013, so she's a good night ahead of her tonight. But as a student coach, I just wanted to give her the opportunity to say a few words about the team and her experience working with them.
You want to practice your valedictorian?
I've had the privilege of working with this group of kids and some of them the year before, so I've done pentathlon as a coach for 2 years. Was a competitor in pentathlon my 8th grade year, and it was a great experience, and I really hope that these kids have gotten as much out of it as I have. It really has been a privilege to work with them. It's obvious that they're great kids academically based on their achievements in pentathlon, but once you get to know these kids, you realize that that's true on a personal level as well. These are all individually great kids, and I know that they'll do incredible things in the future. One of them will be valedictorian, pretty much guaranteed. So I'm just really glad that I've had the opportunity to work with them, and I hope that the community is as proud of them as Ms. Baker and I are.
Thank you very much. I'm especially proud because I graduated from Montauk High School. And I also taught there, so.
Alma mater.
Yeah, alma mater.
That's great.
Our next proclamation is in recognition of Dairy Month in Butler County, June 2013. Whereas agriculture is Pennsylvania's leading economic enterprise and the state's dairy industry is the leading agricultural industry in the Keystone State, contributing 39% of all agricultural income and generating more than $4.5 billion in total economic impact each year to this Commonwealth. And whereas 7,400 dairy farm families manage 541,000 cows that produce 10.6 billion pounds, or 5.6%, of the nation's total supply of milk annually, ranking Pennsylvania 5th in the nation in milk production. And whereas milk was named the official beverage of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on April 29, 1992 by the Pennsylvania General Assembly. And whereas Dairy Month offers an opportunity to honor farm families and the food processors who provide consumers with a wide variety of fresh, wholesome dairy products that provide essential nutrients to growing bodies and are a vital part of a healthy diet. Now, therefore, the Butler County Board of Commissioners do hereby honor and recognize June 2013 as Dairy Month here in Butler County, Pennsylvania. We salute all dairy farmers and their families for the strength and vitality they bring to rural communities throughout the Commonwealth and their commitment to using advanced technology for maximum efficiency while recognizing the industry's contribution to our economy and to our health. Signed, Board of Commissioners, William L. McCarrier, Chairman, A. Dale Pinkerton, Vice Chairman, and James Eckstein, Secretary. And here to accept the proclamation is the Butler County Dairy Court.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you very much.
Really pretty.
Good morning. My name is Miranda Lutz. I'm the 2013-2014 Butler County Dairy Princess. I'm a fifth-generation dairy farmer, and our farm is located in Zillionople, Pennsylvania. I am here today with members of our Dairy Court to commemorate June as Dairy Month. June is when we celebrate the dedication of dairy farmers dedicate dairy farmers share with consumers by caring for the environment and dairy cows, providing milk that is used to make an amazing variety of dairy products produced for the consumers to enjoy. Members of my court are Tricia Covert, a dairy ambassador from Mosier Farm in Shakora, PA. She could not be with us today. Sydney Rasp, a dairy ambassador who's from Rasp Farm in Evans City, PA. Maggie Rasp, a dairy miss from Rasp Farm in Evans City, PA. Those two could not be with us today as well. Lane Coomer, who is also a dairy miss from Coomer Farm in Evans City, PA. She could also not be with us today. Emma Bowser, a dairy miss from Rock Maple Farm in Slippery Rock, PA. Maggie Bowser, a little dairy miss, also from Rock Maple Farm in Slippery Rock, PA. And Morgan Teets, a little miss from Teets Farm in Slippery Rock, PA. On behalf of the dairy promotion team, I'd like to present each commissioner with a got milk lapel pin and a cheese tray made by local producers and purchased locally. Thank you for your courtesy extended to us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's so wonderful to see all these young people looking so nice, dressed up in their ties and their gowns. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Our favorite day.
How come we get the kid and they get the
Thank you again.
Thanks, Ken.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
That's a nice can.
Only two of those ones.
Is that right?
That's a very nice pen.
Is that right? Hi, girls. Congratulations.
Thanks for the pen.
Commissioners, under new business. First item, Sheriff Wesley.
I sort of wish these boys would have been here because you probably had stories about their parents or other relatives.
I told Dale only two of those kids from Lawrence are related to me.
Good odds.
Now, what did you bring us? Do you have a cheese plate or anything?
No, sorry.
Okay.
We're not allowed to take one of the elected officials.
The first thing I'd like to ask is your approval of an indemnification agreement with Marshall Offstein Auto to provide training space for our Sheriff's Office K-9. How this came about was Sergeant Callifan and Marshall Offstein had a little chat. Bullet, when he was initially in training, trained at a junkyard, trained at an old abandoned steel mill, trained at other facilities. And Marshall Offstein has a very nice facility out there with a lot of property. And has agreed to allow Sergeant Callifan and Bullet to train on the property. With the help of Solicitor Mike English, he provided an indemnification agreement that's going to be before you for approval.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. And please thank Marshall on behalf of all the county commissioners and your people for allowing us to use this facility out there.
Absolutely.
Marshall's a great guy. He does a lot for the community. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And let me say, I will tell you, since it was on the radio, may have been on the Butler Eagle, I don't know, I've had 4 calls from other entities saying, hey, you can come out here, hey, you can come here. So we've passed all that information on to Sergeant Callifan, and I think it just reiterates how great of a county that we provide services and live in. So it's just, it's amazing. Second item, I'd like to ask for your approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Pennsylvania State Police for the Regional Information Sharing Systems Officer Safety Event Deconfliction System. And what this will be is if we have an event going on that we want to share the information, the state police will also look, and they have a certain radius. If there's an event going on in the radius where we are planning an event, they will let us know that there's another event going on and that we can share information with that particular agency. And it goes from local to federal agencies.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this agreement?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Is there discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And just one quick announcement. On Saturday, June 8th, this upcoming Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., we're going to be conducting a license to carry on the road program at the Unionville Fire Hall from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for those people that need to apply or renew their license. We picked Unionville because we might be able to get people from Slippery Rock, West Sunbury, even come up in from Butler instead of our Cranberry event. So it's been very successful. Thank you all.
Next item, under Emergency Services, Steve Biceps.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today I'm here to ask for your approval to renew some licenses and to make application for new frequencies for our public safety radio system. Right now, our current radio system, we have 96 FCC licenses that have expired. We need to have renewal for that. We also, because of the Middle Class Tax Relief Act of 2012, Title VI of that, there's a small little section that talks about the FCC giving back what they consider the T-band back to the public sector. That would be in the range of 470 to 512, which is what we currently are in operation of. So in anticipation of this, we'd like to make application for new frequencies underneath that. This would reduce costs for the end user, the fire department, police department, EMS services, and it would also, hopefully, we're making application and it looks very good for approval. This will save us approximately between 20 and 40 million in the future for a whole new public safety radio system. So a new system, a 700 and 800 megahertz system, would require a total overhaul of our current system, which came into existence around 2005, 2006. And in addition, the end users would have significant costs associated with that. So for this, we've used MCP, Mission Critical Partners. We have an existing consulting contract with them for $15,000, which we have reimbursement for some of the wireless funding. We'd like to use that, the work that they've done for the frequency coordination, which is approximately $1,948, that portion of it under that existing contract. The fees for the radio system, for the renewal of the licenses and application for the new licenses, they have to go through a broker, an FCC licensed broker. We cannot deal with the FCC directly. So that portion, which was $14,490 for the licensing fees, I'd like to pay for since it's an unanticipated expenditure out of my capital allotment. So I ask for your approval on that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Is there discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.
Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
The next several items under Human Services, Ann Brown.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Ed.
The first item I have will be asking approval of three children youth juvenile probation department contracts for the fiscal year 2012-2013. They're with Auberly, Glenrun Lutheran Services, and Three Rivers Adoption Council. Ask your approval of those three contracts.
I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next, ask your approval of two contract amendments for the Human Services. They're with the Center for Community Resources for various programs due to provide additional funding for increased personnel costs, purchase of a vehicle, increase in fee-for-service units from the original projections, increase in contracted services for other clients, and purchasing software to report some client information to DPW, and the Alliance for Nonprofit Resources for some several home adaptation projects to help keep our clients in ask for approval of the two amendments.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second
We
it.
have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next, ask your approval of a drug and alcohol advisory board appointment of Desiree Atkinson to the advisory board for a 3-year term.
Make the motion.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Those in favor?
I'd just like to say, she's an excellent, I'm so glad she's coming on to this. I'm on the Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board, and she's just an excellent person. I'm really happy to get her.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next, asking the approval of an early intervention contract with Therapy House to provide some therapy for the early intervention kids on as needed. Ask your approval of that contract.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Then I have a contract with the mental health for the Butler Memorial Hospital for the Children's Partial Program to provide some startup funds to get the program ready and operating for July 1st. Ask your approval of that contract.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next, I have the approval of the operating agreement and administrative entity operating agreement for the Office of Child Development and Early Learning. It is our early intervention program. This provides services for birth to 3 years old. Some of the services that we'll be providing under this contract is monitoring of providers and ensuring that they are qualified to be a medical assistance provider, determining the level of care, monitoring individual service support plans, authorizing services, submitting the required programmatic and fiscal reports, and complying with the department and federal requirements. Ask your approval of that operating agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Is
that.
there discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And last, I have the administrative entity operating agreement for the Office of Development Programs for the administration of the Consolidated and Person and Family Directed Support Waiver for persons with intellectual disabilities. And there's some of the functions that we're providing is also monitoring all assigned physical and programmatic administrative services, determining and redetermining the levels of care for all the eligible residents, authorizing all approved waiver-funded services and changes, ensuring all providers meet and adhere to the qualification standards on an ongoing basis and comply with departmental and federal requirements. Ask your approval of that operating agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Ann.
Next item under Facilities and Operations and the Parks and Recreation Department. We've come to you to approve an agreement with CenturyLink to provide high-speed internet services for the Alameda Park office. The previous vendor was supplying internet services at 512 kilobytes, which is very slow, and was not able to provide a higher speed of internet service to the Parks Department. And on Monday at the agenda setting meeting, Commissioner Eckstein had asked the question whether it was explored for Armstrong to be able to provide that service. And the answer that we received back was that Armstrong does not currently provide service into the park and would have to run the fiber optic line or whatever equipment would be required. So at this point, the option is to go with CenturyLink for $66.94 a month plus surcharges. There will also be a $6.99 per month modem lease and some surcharges and an installation fee of $22.99.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you. First item under Commissioners is approval to contract through Arthur J. Gallagher with Travelers Casualty and Surety Company of America for the county's fiduciary liability insurance. And Commissioners, this is in regard to the fiduciary liability policy to cover members of the retirement board. We did obtain 3 premium quotes, and we are asking for your approval of the lowest quote, which is with Travelers for $21,753.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Can I say something on that?
Sure.
Mike, this was a collaborated effort. Mike English worked on this along with Jack's office. It's not as easy. It's not like getting a bid for your auto insurance, and the price went down $11,000. So we were very happy with this, that it came up. prison board meeting, or prison board, retirement board meeting, I apologize. But I really like to thank Mike. I know it was really a tough road, and Jack's office helped him turn in the information these companies needed to bid on this. But we did save 11,000, which is a third. It was approximately a third savings, so it was a big deal.
I appreciate that. It was well worth the effort in light of the savings, and your comments about the assistance to the controller are well made.
Yeah.
He was very helpful to me in completing these rather complicated applications.
Okay, next item.
The last item under new business is discussion of a proposal from Commissioner Eckstein to hold only the commissioners' public meetings without the necessity of holding the public agenda setting meetings. Commissioner?
Yeah, I'd like, a few people brought it to my attention, and I think, before I became commissioner, I never went to one meeting because, you know, you have to go to work every day, and a lot of people can't make 2 meetings. And so I never went to a Monday agenda setting meeting when I was a constituent, but I went to a lot of the main meetings. But I think, you know, today's technology and with the email, that we really don't want to have, or, you know, shouldn't have the meeting on Monday, because I believe that it's not as transparent. If we came and did it at this venue, more people can see it on TV. One person came and spoke here and said, we're doing the same thing at both meetings, and there's a lot of truth to that. Basically on this, we get a packet, here's my packet, very detailed, different offices like Steve Bice's house or the Sheriff's Department or CYS. When they give us this, we're reading about what they're going to do. And at the Monday meeting, if we have questions, then we ask them at that meeting. Well, my idea is to ask them on email. I had 3 questions on this week. The rest I didn't need questions on. So my idea is to do away with that meeting, to make my government more efficient and make it more transparent, because everybody would just have to come to one meeting. I mean, we have a lot of department heads that come to that Monday meeting, and it costs a lot of money. A lot of individuals like Tom Holman for the courts or Mike Sloop, when a very important issue comes up, or CYS, they wanted a new caseworker, we have private meetings. The commissioners, this is common, just so people know this. You think we're voting on some of these things just off the cuff, but we're really not. If the sheriff has an initiative, or Tom Holman at the courts, it's really important, and they want to drive it, they come and explain it to us thoroughly. So I really appreciate doing that, so that we can make a decision better on how to spend people's money. So I think there's a lot of redundancy having to do people's meetings. I think people can see it as not government not being transparent because it's not on TV. I did a cost analysis here of what it costs to have the Monday meetings, and I took the average amount of workers that come to that meeting and the time they lose coming, and I came up with $38,000 it costs us per year to have all these department heads come to this meeting. Now, granted, if they email them, or you know, Steve Bice's house is coming down from the 911 center, or people come down from Sunnyview, they have more time even. Granted, the $38,000 it costs to have these meetings of all this lost productive time, that's not going to all be saved, because maybe a third of that would be doing emails or talking to us personally. So I recognize it's not going to save the whole thing, but if it was a $25,000 savings, it would be a lot, and I think we'd gain more open, honest government. So I wanted to bring this up for consideration today.
Okay, I disagree with Commissioner Eckstein. I feel that on the agenda setting meetings are very important, because it gives us an opportunity to discuss the various issues that are going to come before us on Wednesday. Now, there's very seldom ever a vote taken on a Monday meeting. So the transparency issue is not an issue, in my way of thinking. Also, those meetings are open to the public. So anybody from the public, if they so desire, are entitled and able to come to that meeting. But again, to me, the important thing is there's very seldom ever any votes taken there. Commissioner Eckstein says we have a savings. I would question that, because the discussion we have at those meetings would have to take place at this meeting, And that would mean that our department heads and our county employees are going to be here that much longer at this meeting, and it would also make these meetings longer. So I believe that's an important tool for us to have to discuss the issues. Also, in the case of bid openings, we always open bids at those meetings. We don't vote on them or award them at those meetings, but we open them. And this allows the department heads, the bridge crew, or whoever the bids, whatever department they're for, 2 or 3 days to study these bids and determine if the bids are legitimate, if all the requirements are being met in each of those bids. So if they didn't have that time and we opened bids at this meeting, then we couldn't probably vote on them, on awarding them until the next meeting 2 weeks later, which in some cases would be a burden to our department heads who are waiting to get those services that the bids are being opened for. So I can't support it. That's my feelings on it.
And I basically feel the same way Bill does on this. I think we do need those, and I just think it would really make these meetings much longer, and consequently, I don't know that it would save that kind of time. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I mean, basically, I'd like to say one last thing. I brought this up because the other two commissioners seem to be they dumped off the people's right to speak at public meetings, and I didn't agree with that. So I wanted to come up with some way to give more time to the public and only have one meeting and more public access. So the driving factor, they used the excuse, which I don't believe at all, that they felt time was of the essence and controlling everybody, or, we've got people sitting here and it's causing a lot of county expense. I wanted to drive home. I don't think it's a county expense. We'd save a lot of money if we cut out this meeting and we make government more efficient and more open. I think they're doing it because they don't want to hear people speak. So I wanted to come up with an idea and I thought it was a good idea. Whether it passed or not, I knew I was pretty negative on Monday, but I think it is a good idea that we have time for people to speak, or have 5 minutes for people to speak from the public. I think it's really important, and that's why I did it, okay, to emphasize the point that we can save in other ways, save time in other ways, and give people the right to speak once or twice or 5 minutes per person. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Is there any other action in this?
I guess not, because it's 2-1, right?
Okay.
That's what I took out of it.
All right, let's move on then. A motion to approve the budgetary transfers. I'll move. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to approve the new hires. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. A motion to approve the travel requests. Is there a second? I'll second that. Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion to approve the requisitions.
So moved.
Is there a
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. A motion to approve the check register.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports?
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'd like to say, first of all, I'd like to comment about two people who talked about last week's meeting. I wasn't here, but I listened to the tape. Beverly Shank came and spoke at last week's meeting. She came and eulogized Jack McMillan 7 months before he starts his retirement.
Not dying.
7 months before his retirement. His staff has trouble dealing with his ego now. Come on, I ask anyone thinking about coming to thank Jack for his years of service to wait until the last month to compliment him, okay? We need to kind of expect 7 more months work out of him, and please help his staff and the commissioners with this impending problem. By the way, the complaints to Jack are still welcome, I'm sure. But that's my first issue. I respect what Jack does, but I just thought it was a little early for Beverly. I know both. Okay, number 2. Next, I'd like to speak about the accusations brought forth at last week's meeting by Jeff Thompson, a junior vice commander of the Butler chapter of the DAV. Mr. Thompson stated, I handed out political literature before the Veterans Day parade. With all due respect, Mr. Thompson, that generalization was corrugatingly false. I was over 2.5 years away from the next election campaign. I wasn't starting early to run my election campaign 2.5 years off. It was not political information, okay? I want to make that clear to the public. I have the literature here. It's on my website. It was a newsletter about not wanting the new building, okay? Anybody can go to the website. I have copies here. It was not political handouts, I guarantee you. What did I pass out? A county newsletter with 3 pages out of 4 talking about the new $17 million building project being force-fed us by Bill McCary and Dale Pinkerton. Now, is that the most politically correct way to state my position? My answer would be no on that, okay? But I'm not a politician like the other 2 commissioners here. I'm a political servant. So I don't always do everything with political correctness, but I'm proud. People elected me like that, and I'm going to keep doing it. Look, I believe in low debt, low taxes, and delivering the most services possible for my constituents. That's what I ran on. That's what I believe in. That's what I was elected to do. I am not remorseful of that stand. I am not. It's not political. It's one of my core values. Now, Mr. Thompson came to the meeting last week and ogled over Mr. McCarrier and Dale Pinkerton at length on their commitment to veterans. He then stated, I don't have the proper manners, no etiquette, and bad behavior in public. He condemned me for exercising my rights of free speech afforded to me by his fallen comrades. Okay? Public sidewalk, public street, the guys died for this right. Okay? That public attack on me reminds me of when John Kerry was swift-boated in 2004 presidential election. They took a decorated Vietnam-era combat veteran and publicly trashed him out for political gain. Now, I'm not a veteran. My brother is a 20-year Air Force veteran. He is still in the Defense Intelligence Agency to this day. He did 2 tours of duty briefing the United States Joint Chiefs of Staff in the Pentagon. I'm only 1/10 of a man the Secretary of State John Kerry is, but we both have one thing in common, being swift-boated by the political right. I gave out non-political flyers before 8 different parades for Save Our Hospital, the Merchant Marines, and the Merchant Marines cause to get him a memorial. I worked on these 2 causes with A.B. Abraham, with his blessing and his physical support on both issues. Now, unfortunately, A.B. has passed away, but I always cherish those memories of being invited to his home and working with him on causes. I even visited with him 3 weeks before he died at the VA. I always cherish that too. A.B. served our country proudly. He made it through the Bataan Death March, his prolonged stay in a Japanese prison camp, and for 2 years after that, he stayed in the Philippines at the request of General Douglas MacArthur to retrieve the remains of our fallen servicemen to give them a proper burial and honor they deserve. Many times he put his life at risk carrying out the general's task. The Japanese still were in the hills and thought the war was going on. They were shooting at him. I don't know Mr. Thompson's background, but I know A.B.'s background. I'm sticking with A.B.'s advice and his lessons he taught me and his vision of integrity he shared with me. I care about the veterans and how we treat them. It's my job as commissioner to maximize service, not build palatial new buildings and take on more debt. That's what I promised, and that's what my promise I will uphold. Thank you for coming to the meeting to speak last week, Mr. Thompson. My final thing I'd like to speak about is, I would like people to know, people aware, the title of this is, Eckstein is innocent in sex discrimination complaint and no merit on the allegations.
Commissioner Eckstein?
My opening statement is...
Excuse me, Commissioner Eckstein, I would just like to take an opportunity to renew my advice to you to not discuss this matter publicly.
Well, I chose to, I talked with my attorneys and I chose to go around that, okay? I'd like to make this statement, it's to the press and it's already out, it's going to be out in droves here, so it doesn't matter anyway, it's already underway. I would like to make the people aware that I was accused of a gender-based sex discrimination publicly in early 2013. Sex discrimination involves treating someone unfavorably because of that person's sex. It has nothing to do with lewd or unwelcome sexual advances. That is classified as sexual harassment under the law. The law firm of Thomas Hafner's report found me innocent of all allegations brought forth in the winter of 2012 and 13 by a Butler County employee. The following analysis and conclusion segments of Thomas and Hafer report is printed below, of which I'm going to read, an excerpt redacted and edited for the confidentiality of the complaint. The law firm was contracted and the report was initiated by Bill McCarrier and Dale Pinkerton. They chose the firm. I did not. I voted against it. I wanted the EEOC to do it. The following are the findings in the case. In the instant matter, there is no evidence of tangible employment action taken against the complainant. Thus, the question is whether Mr. Eckstein's alleged conduct is motivated by gender and is severe or persuasive enough to create a hostile work environment which would call for the county to exercise reasonable care to prevent and correct his behavior. Based upon our investigation, it is our opinion that Commissioner Eckstein's alleged mistreatment of the complainant is not sufficient to support a claim of gender-based discrimination in violation of Title VII. Specifically, the harassment described by the complainant did not, in our opinion, appear to be sufficiently severe or pervasive to create an objective, hostile work environment. The contact alleged has not occurred with such regularity to alter the terms or conditions and privileges of the complainant's environment. Secondly, although there is evidence which a gender-based motivation could arguably be inferred, we believe that an objective view of the evidence viewed in this totality suggests that the Commissioner Eckstein's alleged harassment of complaint is motivated by issues and factors other than the complainant's gender. Eckstein's treatment of complainant, a bit undesirable and at times out of place for an office setting, in their opinion, appears to be motivated by Eckstein's documented concern about issues relating to potential government waste and misuse of county resources and revenues. Following the making of the initial complained that Mr. Eckstein had taken action in retaliation for filing the initial complaint. In this regard, the complaint alleges that at that meeting, Eckstein proposed a resolution which would have the effect of limiting the complainant's authority. In our opinion, Eckstein's proposed resolution, which failed 2-1, falls short of retaliation. I did not retaliate. Mr. Eckstein's efforts to limit the complainant's authority is entirely in keeping with his public history of the management of fiscal matters and his stated commitment to transparency in government. The only fact from which a casual connection might be inferred between the complainant's complaint and the gender discrimination and the introduction of Mr. Eckstein's resolution is the one that preceded the other in timing. In our opinion, this is sufficient to support a claim. In our opinion, this is insufficient to support a claim of retaliation under Title VII. In addition, not a single witness identified this effort as being an alleged retaliatory act. In our opinion, to close, yeah, I got one paragraph left. Can I read it?
Yes.
In our opinion, and based on our investigation, the facts considered in an objective manner fail to establish this type of severe or pervasive mistreatment needed to materially alter the terms, conditions, and privileges of the complainant's employment. While the complainant offers evidence to show that Eckstein's conduct is arguably sufficient on a subjective level, the limited instances of mistreatment fail on an objective level. Further, there is ample evidence to show that Eckstein has been motivated by factors other than the complainant's gender. That's by Jim Eckstein.
Okay, Bill?
Well, first of all, Christina, it was a pleasure to help you last year on working on the creek program. And I hope that people do get out. I do have my script here supporting what you're doing. And I hope that people do keep August 10th open. And that day, and they work really from like 8 to 12 or 8 to 1 o'clock. And whatever time they can give is really, it was unbelievable. 578 tires they pulled out of the creek and 55,000 pounds. That's unbelievable, folks. And we'll have the same on the next 10-mile section. Hopefully we won't have as much. But it makes our community, Butler County, and the people that live in Butler County, the people that came and volunteered, did a great job. And we hope that they do get a lot more volunteers. And the other thing that I just wanted to speak about today, and it is about the people of Butler County and the people who get out and really help, is that the Butler Free Healthcare Clinic this last weekend on Sunday had a fundraiser at Elm Court, and they raised over $10,000 or $100,000 for the free healthcare clinic. And it just shows the kind of people and the volunteers, and there were about 12 or 13 volunteers that were on the committee. Lisa Konesny was one of the co-sponsors, or one of the coaches, co-sponsors of it. And Sheila Geely, they co-chaired it. And of course, Jean Purvis, who is a person from here in Butler County, she's the person who had the insight to start the free healthcare clinic. And it was a wonderful day, and it was probably by the time the expenses are paid, it'll be a little over $100,000. And even Elsie Hillman and her husband Henry came up from Pittsburgh for it, so it was a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a very excellent solicitor. I'm very proud of the way he's learned his job, and he advised us in this report that Mr. Eckstein has referred to that we should not discuss it. We were each given a copy to read, and we handed them back. Dale and I followed the advice of our solicitor. We are not discussing that, but Mr. Eckstein chose not to follow the advice of the solicitor. That's sometimes how we get into trouble. I was also disappointed that he did not read the bottom part of page 11 and part of the top part of page 12, which doesn't make it as rosy as he claims it to be. I would like to talk a little bit about volunteerism, as Dale has done. I don't think we can ever put a monetary value on the volunteers we have in Butler County. Saturday, I went to the fire chief's dinner in Slippery Rock. They were having their annual fire school, which lasts Saturday and Sunday, and there was 200 or 300 people there working at that fire school. They gave up their weekend to go through training. And I think this is just wonderful what these firemen do. And these two young folks here today, I think it's wonderful the project they've put together to clean up Connequenessing Creek. And Saturday, Dale and I were both at the Youth Field Day, which the Sportsman's Club put on to teach young people about hunting, about fishing, about firearms, about hiking. And this goes on all day out at the East Butler Sportsman's Club there, the Butler City Hunting and Fishing Club, I guess it's formerly known as. But there was almost 300 kids there. And these kids were learning how to canoe, to kayak, to shoot a gun. They were learning about bees, about so many different things about nature. And it was so exciting to see these kids spending a Saturday away from their video games out there in nature, learning about nature. And it's so exciting to see what these folks are doing to clean up beautiful Connequenessing Creek. And as I said earlier, it's really, to me, so disappointing to see the things that people throw in trips and along the road. And you see people, you see signs along the road where organizations sponsor the cleanup on that portion of the road. To me, that is just so terrible. An organization has to do that. People should know better than to throw things out along the road that have to be cleaned up. But we do have a lot of wonderful volunteers in Butler County. And every county, but I think Butler County is particularly blessed with good volunteers to support the county and make it the wonderful county that it is. This time we'll suspend the minutes for conference time. Kayla?
I think you covered it. Thank you.
Okay, Tom.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Eckstein, for the agenda setting meetings, I wasn't quite following your train of thought. Eliminating a public meeting in which they allot public comment would be improving transparency.
Well, I had one other person call me and complain about that issue.
Okay.
I did not think of that aspect to be truthful. What the other person called me had merit on that issue, so that is a good point, Tom. I did not think about that issue. I mean, basically, it almost never happens. My answer to that is it happens so infrequently, I bet you, I mean, it'd be less than 10% of the time that ever happens. So it didn't really occur to me, but it is a valid point.
And Carmine, would you agree with Joyce? On Monday, she stated that actually she believed it saved time to field questions simultaneously rather than have to deal with commissioners' individual inquiries.
Yes, I've worked with the county for 25 years and attended a lot of agenda setting and public meetings, and I do believe it's important to address the commissioners all together. The sharing of information between the commissioners, I think it's important for the department heads to see the commissioners discuss these issues in an open forum.
Thank you. And Sheriff, to sort of represent row offices, what's your view on that?
I agree with Carmine. And I think there are times where a commissioner might have a question, and it will give whether a department head or row officer an opportunity to maybe research a little bit more to be prepared, and then supply the information to all three. Generally, if I have an issue, when I speak with the commissioners, I speak with them separately, especially if it has to do with the decision that they'd have to make. So being questioned individually by each commissioner would be not very good time on my part. It'd take more time on my part.
Thank you. And Commissioner, on the other issue, if you just asking if you would be, and you might be reiterating what you stated in a previous interview, but what I believe Commissioner McCarrier was referring to of a portion you didn't read of the report was making some criticism of your behavior in general. It stated, while it found insufficient evidence of sexual discrimination, it did make some comment about, at least in the opinion of the firm investigating, your behavior in general leaves the county open to legal action.
Basically, politics is a rough business. You shouldn't be, if you don't want to be a row officer or you don't want to be a county commissioner, involved in controversy, you should not do this job, and you should not work for a commissioner. Basically, you shouldn't have anything to do with that. If Peggy or anybody that works around a public official thinks it's the public has a right to question things and to do their, it's not where like working at the Dairy Queen or some office setting. It is not like working at the office setting. Some people go to Brian Ellis with really, they're passionate about certain issues. Rights of free speech or what you're taking away from me. Those are passionate issues, and I'm a very passionate person. Now, for people to mete out the freedom of speech, and for people to want me to say things, they're basically stopping me from doing my agenda. I have an agenda to save money and to cut debt. And basically, if you say to me you have to be, politically correct on everything I do, then you're basically stopping me with my rights of free speech to do my agenda. That's what I believe. You're basically pigeonholing me into saying I can't do what I want to do. You shouldn't be, if you don't want any political problems, don't work at Brian Ellis's office, okay? That's my opinion. Don't work where there's controversy.
And just to, again, ask you what I'd asked in the interview for the story running today. You had a problem with the way the firm conducted the investigation?
Well, they spent $4,700 of the $4,700 out of the $5,000 cap on the complainant and $300 on me. I had a real problem with that. All the witnesses were done through the complainant, okay? All 9 witnesses were paid for the complainant. They spent $4,700 and then they came to me. Now, I haven't got the final bill yet. They better not go to the $5,000 because it was capped. But I don't call that fair. I'll let the public decide that, okay? You know, to me, before they ever showed up in my office, I have the bills, and it was $4,700, so they spent $4,700 on the complainant and $300 on Jim Eckstein. Now, is that fair? I'll let the public decide.
Mike, I don't know if you can address I'll phrase it this way. From a legal perspective, do you have an issue with the way the firm conducted the investigation?
I'm not going to comment specifically on the investigation. I will say that having conducted similar investigations myself in the past, that the firm conducted itself